Hello, my name is Jeff Mobley and welcome to this presentation on workplace personas for PRM 612 Project Leadership, Team and Stakeholder Management. Where are we going in this presentation? I want to start out just explaining what is a workplace persona anyway. It's an idea that I wasn't terribly familiar with going into this presentation, so just want to start with a brief description and definition of what a workplace persona is. Then I want to transition briefly to talking about how many workplace personas there are, because there is some disagreement among the literature that I referenced, and then talk about the management value of workplace personas. Why are they important in a management and leadership class? And then finish with some concluding thoughts. So, what is a workplace persona anyway? The first thing that pops into everyone's mind is, well, a workplace persona is like a manager or a executive or a employee. But a workplace persona is not a role in the organization. It's different than a role. It's more of an identity. One of the better definitions that I found of a workplace persona is the one by Das in his article from June of this year, where he said that a workplace persona is the representation of a segment of customers, and we could insert employees there in place of the word customers. It's a representation of a segment of customers aimed at better understanding of the customers. So what a persona is taking a snapshot of a class of people, a group of people, and it's a category into which you can place your employees or your customers in order to better understand that employee or that customer. And the way that workplace personas are developed is by looking at individuals and categorizing them by their desires, their expectations, their needs, and their behavioral patterns. And again, the goal is better understanding. And we'll talk more when we get to the value section about what that understanding leads to. But basically, you're wanting to treat each of your employees as the individuals that they are, and not have a one-size-fits-all or a monolithic way of looking at your team or workforce. Workplace personas help that happen. And so there are these representations of your employees that help you better understand your employees. How many workplace personas are there? Again, in the literature, there's disagreement. Is anywhere from 4 to 15, and if you notice by looking at these lists, there's a considerable amount of overlap between some of the four. So Das, in his article, he's dealing with workplace situations in India, and he highlights 4. He calls them the ambassador, the harmonious, the laborer, and the pragmatic. Lively, in an article from earlier this year as well, lists 10. He calls them the achiever, the adventurer, the apostle, the perfectionist, the networker, the driver, the unifier, the restless, the influencer, and the director. O'Donnell, in her article from last year, and O'Donnell is recognized as an authority in workplace personas. I came across a number of articles written by her about workplace personas. She categorizes 8: the builder, the researcher, the visionary, the educator, the super connector, the warrior, the optimizer, and the mentor. And then Frederick, from last year, Frederick works for a company that develops a software for developing these personas and categorizing them. They list 15, and they have actually an infographic that they distribute listing all of these 15 workplace personas and their descriptions. So they have achiever, explorer, technician, fact finder, advocate, precisionist, networker, driver, harmonizer, producer, planner, dynamo, influencer, advisor, and examiner. And so there's a wide disparity among the number. And basically what I gathered from this is to develop the number of personas that are adequate for categorizing your team, and try to fit your team into one of these categories of persona, and then that would guide you into how you would react or interact with that particular employee. It seems to me that 8 was the most common. Again, O'Donnell writes extensively on workplace personas. She writes from the perspective of an employee seeking employment and where they're going to fit, whereas Lively and Frederick and Das approached it from the perspective of the manager categorizing their employees. But again, there is disagreement. There's no one right answer as to how many. Basically, the right answer is there are enough for you to categorize your whole team. So what is the management value of workplace personas? Why does this matter to managers and leaders in the workplace? Well, one, it helps you prioritize people and recognize employee differences. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. Each of our employees or members of our team are going to be different. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to how we interact with them, how we motivate them, how we lead them, how we guide and instruct them. But this helps us prioritize people and recognize their differences and put them into the categories that most fit, again, based on their experiences, their needs, and their behavioral traits. It helps us consider factors beyond roles and responsibilities. Again, workplace personas are not roles and responsibilities. They're based on these traits that we've talked about, behavioral patterns, the needs, the desires. And so we go beyond what their role and responsibility is in the company to who they are as people. And this leads to helping us enhance the employee experience. It helps us tailor the experience of the employee in the workplace and make it more personalized, more empathetic, and helps us enhance that experience so that they enjoy working for us as much as we enjoy having them work for us. And then finally, and probably underscoring all three of those, is that we are able to motivate for better productivity and happier employees. And really that should be our goal, is we want to motivate them so that they'll be as productive as possible, but we also want them to be happy in doing it. And workplace personas help us do that, because as we gain that understanding that goes along with personas, we also gain an understanding of what makes them tick. What are their triggers? How can we push them and guarantee their happiness in the result? How can we set them up for success? So my conclusions, I have three. One, workplace personas are a tool to contextualize the individual needs of employees. Again, it's about the individual. It's about focusing on person over role and responsibility. Two, workplace personas are based on their needs, expectations, and their behavioral or behaviors of individual employees and helps us represent them. And then three, the number of personas is subjective and can be tailored to the needs of your team or organization. With that, I say thank you. Here are my references for your review, and I hope that you found this presentation beneficial. Thank you very much.